Looking at tomorrow's a bit drier, but towards the end of the week's getting a bit wet again.
No, he gave you a cicate, didn't he?
No, we didn't swap. We didn't swap in the end.
Oh, he didn't.
What? The one that represents the fact that you've got fatter and you've got no hair?
And especially as people keep saying that Michael and I are like the two Ronnies. Tell me if you think that I look like the Ronnie now. 24th of September, I'm cold, I've got my jacket on. It's overcast, we've had allegedly over 30 mil of rain in the last 2 days. Half the guys are at home, they've been off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, probably off tomorrow as well, catching up with some rest. Half the guys have come in to get stuff ready, make sure we're ready for the next off, basic things, filling up trucks of fuel, bowsers, making sure there's no problems, fixing air leaks and things like that which have gone wrong on tractors, and also catching up with building the store. So I come to have a wander around where the store is. Chris and his team, they're getting that built, it's going well. Getting ready for Monday when the GPS guys will come out and work out where each stanchion's going. So then we can start digging for the stanchion, getting them concreted ahead of the building. The building's supposed to arrive this week, so we need to get the stanchions in so that they can then start coming to erect it. Definitely autumn's here now, leaves are falling. Got that sort of cold air that's coming in. Really unenjoyable the last few days, the heavy rain. A job to feel tremendously motivated. Starting to open some posts, that sort of thing's coming in today. I can see that the holiday season has ended, people have gone back to school, because I'm getting some peculiar letters sent to me where you can see it's like the beginning of the new work term. We're starting to do the pre-em, only found one field that Kieran can actually travel on, so he started to do that, and then hopefully tomorrow they'll find another couple of fields after all that rain. So a little bit bitty at the moment, and we'll make a, hopefully getting ready for drilling come, we're hoping Friday at this rate, so fingers crossed, but the whole week's going to be lost in drilling, which is quite frightening really. There's black grass coming up as well, so in that sense it's good, but we're coming towards October, which is, I get more nervous as we get to October. So here we've got finishing off levelling the stone off, getting the heights ready. Apparently it's an optical illusion, they tell me, but I think it's ramped up, but allegedly not. And then we're going to move the water tanks, that sort of thing, get them in a different position. And then we'll start landscaping as well, getting the concrete panels going around the outside. They're on a 4-week lead time. Going to put the stanchions in, put the panels in, going around, landscape that. Hopefully get that done before the weather turns really properly awful. Got a breakdown with a water bowser, snapped a road spring. So that's in the workshop at the moment. We'll go and have a look at that. Simon's dealing with that, trying to put a new spring on. Fortunately, we've got a spare one on the shelf, so that's helpful. And then I really dislike this weather. I really dislike this time when it goes like this. It makes me dread that we're suddenly in that time when we're not going to be able to crack on.
So we're just on the side of the A428, just down from the farm at Dry Drayton. Leaf springs have broken on the water bowser, which is heading out to Kieran down at Heathrow near Swaffham. So we're on the hard shoulder, car's whizzing past. We've managed to get it so we think it'll move, we can get it back to the farm. Different to normal breakdowns because we're not in a field, we're next to a busy road, but we'll get it back, stripped off, and hopefully it'll be up and underway later on today.
Why have you got your apprentice doing the work?
He had too much. Did you see the size of a bit of cake he had?
No, he gave you a cicate, didn't he?
No, he didn't. We didn't swap. We didn't swap in the end.
Oh, he didn't. So what we're doing here, we've got broken spring. It's not the first time this has happened, so we're putting a new one in. It is all jacked up on this corner before anybody asks, so it is safe.
With an axle stand, 2 jacks.
Yeah, 2 jacks, yeah.
And I'm holding it.
Oh, God. But, so hopefully we'll get this running again. So the Unimog's back. One of the things that's really helpful about the Unimog is it's got the tank on the top, and this is why Kieran likes it, because he can put the IBCs on the top of it and carry them. You can put a couple up there, can't you? Yeah. So you could have a roundup and you could have a release up there if you wanted to. Yeah. which is why you like it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's the problem now. We've moved to this IBC structure, haven't we?
Yeah.
But we've actually got nowhere for an IBC to go. I don't know whether we could look to extend this out here.
Come off that.
No, off this. Leave that alone. Just come out here, and whether we can make a platform for an IBC. Because now one of the farming grants is to go to a pump system for the IBCs, which is, do you like it or not?
That pump system,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier.
You do like it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
But now we're not set up for IBCs, are we? We are at the chemical store, but not in transit.
No.
And when we didn't have the Unimog, when it was having its little holiday, siesta,
Yeah.
we were having to take it on I for William, separate journey, weren't we?
Yeah,
And it was a nightmare. So Chandler's Nick is here. He's just doing a service on this tractor, so we can. No, he's not. Sorry, he's doing an air brake system which failed on this one, and he's doing a service on number 2. These are the chains we got from. These ones have come from Horsch, which they recommend for their drills. We've got some from Spalding's as well, so we're going to mount these. So Glyn's been making a frame where that will fit in between there. He's going to weld that to the chassis of the drills or cultivators, whatever we want to. This is an old, not an old, sorry. This is a new shovel to go on the front of a bucket, hardened steel. So he's drilled the hole with a mag drill. He'll weld that on the side of the thing. Then he'll clamp these on. This will work. And then we wrap that around the drawbar. I'll show you on the drawbar. He's going to weld here the frame, bolt the chain on. The chain then goes round through that and clips on. So we've got these on some of the hitches, but we're going to order some extra ones and fit them to all of them. So then there's our safety chain that we've talked about previously. We're now fitting. So sorting out the air leak on that. Going to rebuild the sides on the compressor to get that up in the Army Bowser and get that fitted. So the crawler is just getting sign written, and we've got the steering gone through it again because the steering did not work for us. So we're getting that done. And then it's all stripped off with the weights to make it lightweight. So we dropped quite a lot of tonnage off it, and we're just basically going through it to make sure it's right. Glyn got on quite well drilling, but it just wouldn't steer right. It wouldn't hold the line. So Simag we were out this morning, 2 of them, and I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, they've actually got it calibrated right, got it fixed, and then Glyn can get on without being stopped.
So we're here at Heathrow at Swaff and Ballbeck, just spraying the pre-ems on the barley. We're quite lucky today as we had 35 mil of rain over the last couple of days, but on this better land over here it's good drainage, so we're over here just doing this. So yeah, we're just pre-emming the barley, sealing that down after the rolls when I rolled it on Friday, Saturday, one of the two. But yeah, it's travelling lovely, and yeah, we're just doing half tanks at the minute because we weren't sure if it would go or not. It was not fit to run, so yeah, we're just doing half tanks. But yeah, it's been a treat today, really. So this will be the last of today, just doing this field. We're going to hit it hard tomorrow. We're just testing the water today. But yeah, hopefully a better today tomorrow, and hopefully we'll travel.
So we're here back in the yard, unfortunately, with the wet couple of days that we've had. It's been a bonus for us because we've had a good couple of days off. Back today, and we're currently with the 2 Certos, which we've been getting ready today, getting them filled up with seed. A couple of repairs that Chandler's have been out to do today. We had this one which had a slow air leak on it, which wasn't allowing me to use the variable grip. But luckily Chandler's were able to come out today with the part and get it all repaired. Graham's, we had another bit with the same again with an air problem, which they've come out and fixed today, and we've got them all filled up with diesel, front tanks filled up with diesel, and we're all ready to head off to Bedford when we can get the weather window, hopefully. Looking at tomorrow's a bit drier, but towards the end of the week's getting a bit wet again, so hopefully we'll see when we can get out.
I've been out on a lorry today delivering seed. I've been to 10 farms, and I bet 8 of them have said, "Oh, you're cousin Michael. What are you doing driving a lorry?"
Yeah, well, actually, it's a very good question. Why are you driving a lorry, Michael?
Well, just giving them a hand, because it's that week of the year when everybody wants to seed, and we're struggling to get it out.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, well, we'll wait till we get T-shirts with your face on. They'll have to be extra large. Otherwise your face will roll round to the other side.
It's unreal. I just can't believe it. Everywhere you go. Unbelievable. I can't believe how many people watch it.
Oh, it's nice.
So the next thing is, you've heard of chia, the variety chia.
Yes.
It got Group 1.
Yes.
I'd like to lay my hands on some. Do you want some?
How much?
How much what?
Seed.
Oh, I think we could probably have 30 ton or whatever. You know what?
Okay. Is it orange blossom midge variety?
Can't remember, but it is the only one that's got decent disease. It's only Group 4.
Will it be on the HDB website or will it?
Oh yeah, no, it's recommended.
Right. So I can look up what its characteristics are.
Well, I'm just doing that, but it might take me a second to do it.
Well, I think we ought to try it because I know we've been struggling with the fact that we've got Crusoe and Skyfall, which are relatively old varieties, in particular Crusoe is, but Skyfall is, yellow rush pressures is falling, isn't it?
Well, I think we ought to have a reasonable amount that say that we can go wild with it next year if it turns out to be all right.
Well, what are you thinking? You're talking about 5 ton or 30 ton?
Well, I think we ought to grow enough to be able to produce 300 ton out of it if we need to.
All right. Is this because you've realised you haven't got a holiday fund because I've not bought much seed from you this year?
No, no, it is not. I'd far sooner be able to clean some, but we haven't got any.
Well, if you'd like, Michael, I could let you stay in the Airbnb at Newton.
Oh, thanks.
It's only 10 miles from going home, but it'd be like a holiday for you.
Yes, okay. Oh, dear.
Do you know I had to apply for my to renew my driver's license?
Yeah, you said. Why is that?
I had to go get a medical.
That's not a problem, though, is it?
Oh, I'm like a beast. There's no problem. They've sent the form back though to tell me that they now need to put a passport photo in it because the one on my passport they don't want to use that. They want the fresh one.
What, the one that represents the fact that you've got fatter and you've got no hair?
Well, I was hoping, Michael, that I could stay 35 for the next sort of 15 years. Catching up on the Farmers Weekly, I saw something online. It was on the Twitter, actually, and then I found it in the magazine. And it's a comment that gentleman from Ayrshire called Colin Murdoch has referred to. And actually, I do agree with his comments. So I always understood that anybody under the age of 13 wasn't allowed to drive a tractor, hence why you had the tractor test, and learning how to drive it. What I didn't appreciate until just recently when this has all come out is that you couldn't have them in the tractor cab. Now, why this brings a concern to me is because I have children of various ages from 18 months up to 12, and they've all been in the combine with me. There's a seat belt on a proper seat sat next to me, and they've all seen what Daddy's doing and looking at the farming, etc. And it's been a thing for them to come out and see round the farm on the machine. Also, we've had people stop and come and see us during the harvest, and we've allowed the parent and the child to come and have a ride on the combine because we thought that was, keeping people engaged in farming, spreading the word about farming. Children have a fascination, and was the right thing. And I'm completely shocked that actually the law is saying that they're not even allowed in the machine at all. It is important, I think, to have an engagement with agriculture. And if the environment is safe and there's a seat in there and it's got a seatbelt on it, I cannot see the problem. If it's like the old days where you spend your time leaning against the wheel arch and you could go flying out the window, I can understand why you wouldn't be allowed in the machine. But where there's a spare seat and a seatbelt, I think that needs to be reviewed. I wouldn't necessarily say it was to do with childcare, but I do think it's important that there is a level of engagement and done safely. No different than if you took somebody in your car around or you took them in the lorry, which has got a spare seat and a seatbelt. So it is something I think that wants to be amended if there is a spare seat and a seatbelt. But it does concern me that it's come about due to the grandfather that's been fined after a second time being caught for having his grandchild. Now, I don't know the details, but farming and agriculture has moved on so much since my young childhood, when we were running around in tractors with no seatbelts or no spare seats or anything, to modern day equipment. And I think that perhaps the laws need to be amended according to the machinery that's now available to us. No different from the speed of the machinery and the weights of the machinery. What concerns me is we've actively been doing something we thought was the right thing for the industry. And to find out that actually it isn't until now, and bear in mind I'm 48, so I've been doing this a while, that I had absolutely no knowledge at all that they could be in the cab. They couldn't be in the cab, below 13. I thought it was just they couldn't drive the machinery. And I don't know how many other people recently have sort of caught up with this and suddenly thought the same. But I'm actually I'm really surprised, and it means I've actively been doing something I shouldn't have been doing, and we had no knowledge of it. I suspect if I wasn't actually immersed in farming in my childhood in the manner that I was, I wouldn't go into farming. And that's why I believe that you've got a huge amount of people who haven't been going in. And I think it's mainly because people don't realise how wonderful the industry is and the opportunities in which it's so broad, there's so many things people can do. Even being an agricultural lawyer or an agent or through to a mechanic, to a salesman, to an actual farmer, an agronomist, seed salesman, trials. It's just so vast, the industry. It is so vast, and there are so many degrees of things, and that's just arable I'm thinking of. That's before we even talk about genetics and breeding and livestock or anything. But it is such a wide industry. There's so many opportunities. And it's not being taught now in schools, and I think that's a concern. People don't see where food's coming from. They're not seeing how the farms that they might be surrounded by, if they're in villages or even towns, there are farms around the outside of towns, there'll be tractors driving through towns, how connected they are to farms in some way. And they may only be several generations ago that somebody in their family had a connection with farming. That in medical, about the most important two things that a human being could ever want, food and health. I think this is a big topic, and I think we need to spend a bit of time thinking about this and actually getting this out there on the agenda and saying, let's get down, what is the main issue of health and safety on farms? Where are the problem areas? What are we going to do about it as an industry? How can we make this better? Equally, how are we going to increase the number of people who want to be involved in agriculture in the future? Because without it, the human race is going to suffer. So these are big topics, and food security. So I had to go get my driving licence renewed the other day for the HGV, and I had to go get an eye test. And the problem is, when you go to a place that sells glasses, they're always going to tell you that you need glasses. Anyway, I can read it, the paper and whatever, and it says here, EU farmers warned they must pay for emissions. Anyway, I had to get my new glasses, and I really can't get used to wearing them, and especially as people keep saying that Michael and I are like the two Ronnies. Tell me if you think that I look like the Ronnie now. Anyway, interesting. EU farmers warned they must pay for emissions. So this is in the Financial Times of today, being Tuesday, the 24th. So that's an interesting point that they're talking about. They're talking about basically 12% EU emissions, I think, coming out of agriculture. So we're just coming up to 7:30 on the 24th, wet day. Guys are doing well. They've had some good rest. They've had Sunday, Monday off. Some are still off actually, and they're going to be off for the next couple of more days. So some of them are going to have 4 or 5 days off, sort of catching up on some sleep and just some downtime. And we have a bit of flexibility in the workforce in that sense. We go really hard, you know, work hard, stay up in Lincolnshire, etc. Then when we have these sort of times, instead of them coming in, they can go just stay at home, get 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever the weather's doing. There's no point in having them in just looking at each other standing around the yard. Just get a core number of people in, get the jobs done. Looks like we're going to get spraying tomorrow, a bit more of energy, get 2 self-propels running, which will be good, Glyn and Kieran. The other Kieran's going on the Bowser, so that's all fixed. Simon and Glyn got that done today, got the new spring put on, which was a great relief. We actually had one in stock, so Simon will get a new one of those ordered. And hopefully, if we're lucky, we'll get caught up with the pre-ems tomorrow, thereabouts. Even if we've got to do a bit the next day, then hopefully get drilling Thursday is our sort of a plan, if the weather allows us to. The weather looks a bit 50-50 whether it's going to rain or not. If not, Friday, then coming over the weekend, get stuck into it. People will be fairly fresh. You go for another good punch out. Should knock out all the rest of the barley and the oats, and hopefully start the wheats before there's another rain, and then get some real momentum and keep going. I think everybody's keen. We're all sort of desperate to crack on. This is a really tiring time for me because the downtime, it creates a lot more pressure. It's interesting. It's a lot simpler to run a business when you've got a core single focus. Getting crops in the ground, you're all drilling the same product, you're all in the same location. A lot easier to manage than suddenly when they're all over the place, like in the yard, trying to get things ready and whatever. But we're sort of thereabouts on seed, apart from Michael, as he just heard on the telephone. He's got a bit of extra seed available we could try. We need to grow the seed this year from C1, so that then we've got some farm safe seed for the following year. If we find it's a good yielding variety, we can push out wider. We want to stay with the milling wheats, even though I've heard today that the premiums are dropping on milling wheats, which I'm concerned about, because actually you start to erode and drop the premiums, then you lose the attraction of having the deficit in yield from growing a milling wheat over a feed. If the millers are going to start pushing the premium down, actually that might be a swing of focus to go back to feed wheat and just go for barn filling. Much simpler way of farming, very simple to grow, very simple to harvest. Don't have all the same level of pressures and attention to detail that you have to do with milling wheat. So actually, this is a message to millers. If you are going to erode the premium, then actually I think people will just pick up the feet and walk and go to the feeds, because there's so many other varieties available outside of the milling, and it's hard work growing the milling. If they're not going to get the reward against the cost, it's not worth it, especially in a time like this in an unsubsidised industry, where actually you make a slight mistake, then you lose the efficiency and the cost of farming. You've got a negative. So we're running budgets at the moment. Just spent the last couple of days with Nick just doing budgets and cash flows, like to keep up with the cash flows, working out where we are. And actually we're on a fine line where we could do really well next year, or we could do really badly. And it's that critical, and it's a real swing, left or right, just down to yield and down to the prices. So getting drilled early is our strategy at the moment, because we want to go for the higher yields. Yes, there's going to be a grassweed pressure, but there can be a grassweed pressure anyway. But if you can't do well, if you haven't drilled it, if you go into wet times that don't allow you to get on, this rain forecast we just had and the floods you've seen around Bedfordshire, down the roads near where we farm, which would only be 10 miles away, flooded underpasses and things, that's a warning shot to me over the bows. Get the job done, get it in the ground, because actually we can't farm wetland. We don't have the machinery capability for it. We have to go to the wet weather drill, which is one drill, down from 4 down to 1. That's a very long season. We can keep going, but that isn't a strategy that we want to do. So hopefully we'll get cracking on and get the momentum back. I'll answer some questions which have come through, and thank you again for the level of questions to the subscribers and the continued support that I'm getting, and also other people are getting. Michael visiting people, drivers going places, people saying nice things to them makes a big difference. Very grateful for people have been so kind, and long may it continue. So looking at some of the questions, why do I store in stores and compared to bins? The main reason I like the stores is because the stores have a potential to do other things. If you have a bin, it can pretty much only store grain. Can't use it for other uses. A shed, you could use it for other uses, whether you want to put bags in it at some point, whether you want to put machinery in it, whether you want to in the future use it for other uses other than agriculture. Stores allow you to do that, where bin storage doesn't. So that's the main reason. It's the future, and I look around our farm, we've got buildings which were once agricultural, now offices. We've got buildings which were pig and cattle building, now units. So that just shows actually for us building infrastructure of sheds, there is a future for them. In the past, bins, they just rot and they get taken down. I don't see a future in putting bins up. Pre-ems, why do we use pre-ems? So basically the most efficient and the best way of controlling black grass is pre-em. Now what pre-em means is before emergence. So pre-emergence is what effectively is. So you drill the seed at say 2 inches deep, 1 inch and 3/4. You've got a window of opportunity up to probably 5 to 10 days, somewhere in that time the seed will come up. So you've got a very small window to put a pre-emergence on, and then you'll get a much better control, maybe 70 to 80% control. And then you have post-em chemicals, which means after it's emerged, you'll put them on. So that's why the pre-em is really important. If we miss that, actually we get a huge volume of black grass. And I have got a video on that where we looked at harvest last year, which you haven't seen yet. And maybe I'll bring that out so you can see the difference of where we didn't get a pre-em on last year because it got too wet. Rainfall, we had about 31 mil of rain. Now we got a small problem, but we've got 3 weather stations, one in Bedford, one in Lincolnshire and one in Cambridge. I rang up the company which makes them today. For whatever reason, all 3 have suddenly said that they've either had nothing in 24 hours or they've had 1 mil. So we're not sure what's gone on there. So I've asked Sandy to investigate that to get them working. So actually, we've got a full digital system in rainfall that completely failed on 3 sites. And according to that, we had no rain, which you only have to look out the window. You know, that's not true. Why do you not plough everything? I don't think physically we could probably get around. We wouldn't have the men and the machines and the ability to do that. I don't believe that there is an advantage. I like a little bit of ploughing in the rotation for certain crops, but actually I think ploughing every year brings up what you put down the year before, and I'm not a believer that actually that is a uniform solution. If you want a very cheap farming system, plough and power drill, probably your best, because that's all you'd need, that and a subsoiler. But so yeah, we like the cultivations. We think that the Trano type cultivations works really well for us. Creates the mixing of the straws, allows us the seed to soil contact with the seed we drill. So that is a good system for us and allows us to get over a big area and quite quickly. My car, it's diesel. They've all been diesel. I did want to have a petrol once, a V8 to 5 litre petrol, and I nearly bought one, but I had to go to a diesel. Couldn't justify it in my own mind. Potatoes and sugar beet, yeah, we used to grow potatoes and sugar beet, and it worked really well. Got it to work in controlled traffic farming, fantastic for controlling black grass. Cleaned up the farm, got it round in a full circuit round all the fields, and it was a great change of chemistry, great change of cultivation techniques and timings. Cleared up the black grass, At the time, we were nearly £40 a tonne, went down to £20 a tonne. Economics just did not work on Hanslope series clay. We were trying to lift in the wrong period of time. It was creating compaction. All the things I was trying to avoid, we were putting in, and we couldn't clean the mud correctly off the beat. And then we're getting high dirt tears, and then the economics of it just didn't work. But we got a full control traffic farming model on the sugar beet and on the potatoes. Potatoes worked well, went into COVID. Basically, we had no outlet for the potatoes during COVID, and financially that was damaging. I just decided that as a business I need to maintain and reduce risk, not increase risk. That's why I came out of them. So they're the main questions. Keep them coming through. I hope the two people who've got the hats really enjoy them, signed by Michael Horsch. And we'll look to see, hopefully we'll get going this coming weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. All the best.